an MBA from the University of Missouri. He dove head first into information technology 20 years back and has not looked again. Niall has developed on everything from mainframe to a mobile phone. He has worked with languages from COBOL, CICS to Java to JavaScript. Niall currently architects cutting-edge web and mobile applications that integrate cognitive capabilities to enhance end-user experience wherever possible. Today, he'll be speaking on artificial intelligence and how developers benefit today. I probably would even think more in future though. Thank you, Niall, for taking your time to speak with us. Without further ado, let me turn the stage over to you. Thanks, Niall.
Thank you, Padma. So Padma took a lot of the introduction that I was planning to do out of it. So as she said, I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence and how developers can benefit today. So let's just jump right in with a little bit of history because I'm not sure of the exact audience. And why isn't this advancing? There we go. So we all know artificial intelligence is basically the thought of machines doing the thinking and working for us, saving us effort, and making our lives a lot easier. The vast majority, well, actually, Merriam-Webster defines artificial intelligence as a branch of computer science dealing with the simulation of intelligent behavior in computers and the capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. I did a little informal survey before I put this presentation together, inquiring what people thought about artificial intelligence and what they would like to know. And overwhelmingly, the response was, when will computers become self-aware? So that told me that everyone saw Terminator or Alien or iRobot or other such movies. And they don't exactly have the tightest grasp on where artificial intelligence is going. Currently, there are basically 4 types of artificial intelligence. So type 1 is reactive machines, and that's the most basic type of AI system, and it's purely reactive. And somebody's turning the mic off pretty loud. So the most basic types are purely reactive and have the ability to neither form memories or use past events to inform current decisions. If you remember a while back, IBM had Deep Blue. It was a chess-playing supercomputer which beat international grandmaster Garry Kasparov back in the late 90s. Deep Blue was that type of machine. It was reactive. It was basically programmed with the knowledge of different chess moves and how to react. If it saw this move, what it should do. It didn't build on its history. It didn't remember the last 20 chess games it did. It was reactive. Gary did something, it responded accordingly based on its knowledge base. It didn't have any other history or learned ability to go on. The next type of AI is limited memory. In this class, machines can look into the past. And for example, self-driving cars do something like this already. They look at other cars, they observe the speed and direction, and that can't be done in just one moment, but rather it takes identifying specific objects going on around you and what they're doing at any point in time, and remembering that, oh, I just saw a car pass me. Maybe I shouldn't jump into that other lane just yet.
IBM notes Richie Latour at Ingenieur.
Okay. The next type is the third type, the theory of mind. And this is basically the important divide between machines and the machines we'll build in the future. I'm not sure how to explain this one, but this is almost the self-aware machines, but it's more machines that think and machines that can do things. So we're borderline on this at this area now, and advancing into it a little bit more. So the machines, they're not just using memory, but they're actually forming networks. They're doing the thinking. It's basically the machine. It's more in line with our concept of what a mind might be. And the fourth type is self-awareness. And this is the final step of AI development. And these are systems that can form representations about themselves. So a machine that might say, oh, I was built this way, but I could have been built better, and make another version of itself that is better. And similar to humans, have a consciousness. And this is the one that everybody's so worried about when we're going to get there, and they think the machines are going to take over. Anyway, so what I have on the screen here, the image is a robot called Sophia, and actually she's been granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia. And I don't know if you guys have seen, but she's been on talk shows recently, and it's pretty impressive AI. But this is just, a lot of data has been poured into her. A lot of people say she's a gimmick, but she is taking in information, learning what's going on around her. And when I say learning, she's building on knowledge that she's gaining. So this is kind of that theory of mind / self-awareness, because she does have a concept of self, but not to the point where she's going out and building and doing. So as you can see, AI is getting really complex now. But that's a little bit of background, and we want to talk about how this can help developers. So developers, we know we've all heard the buzzwords: cognitive computing, machine learning, natural language processing. But what that really means is cognitive computing. It describes the technology platforms that, broadly speaking, they're based on the scientific discipline of artificial intelligence and signal processing. And what these platforms do is they encompass machine learning, they encompass natural language processing, speech recognition, vision, etc. And they bring us insights into our data. So if we look at machine learning, it's the science of getting computers to act without being explicitly programmed. And as I mentioned before, machine learning has given us the self-driving car, practical speech recognition, effective web search, and so on. It's so pervasive today that you probably use it dozens of times a day without even knowing it. And many researchers, they also think it's the best way to make progress toward human-level AI. Natural language processing is a different area of computer science and artificial intelligence concerned with interactions between computers and humans and natural languages. In particular, how to program computers to fruitfully process large amounts of information and natural language data. And an emerging trend is empathy, which is a trend in artificial intelligence to get computers to detect how we're feeling and respond accordingly. Those combined make up cognitive computing. So machines that can kind of learn what's going on, figure out things based on data they've been given, communicate and understand how we naturally communicate, understand our sentiment when we communicate, and give us responses accordingly. So as a developer, what can you do? How can you take this and use it to your advantage? Well, I'm not an AI researcher, and I don't want to be, but I would like to take advantage of this. So all these companies have started coming out with basically artificial intelligence as a service. So you think about services like Watson, Alexa, Google Now, and Microsoft's AI platform. These are all AI platforms, and they're building out services around them, and they're offering these to the public so that we can take advantage of AI without knowing the complexities of being able to dig down into AI and actually develop this stuff. So they're basically productizing AI right now. And what's being offered? Most of the major vendors have something. If you notice, I didn't have Apple on that list. And that's because Apple is more of, while they do have AI, they're more proprietary, and they do have AI stuff, but they want it on their devices and not so much built into any application. They want it built into applications that run on iOS and Mac. So they're not quite as widely used. So we look at the different vendors. Microsoft has AI services. They have cognitive services, machine language services. They have AI infrastructure. And then Google has its Google AI, which they have their TensorFlow, which is their machine learning platform. And Google has even gone so far as to purchase a company called Kaggle that sponsors AI competitions. And they're using that to find new talent and enhance what they can offer. But Google also has things like vision and other things similar to IBM and Amazon. Amazon has recognition for video. They have Lex for chatbots. They have comprehend for insights into data, translate, transcribe. And what you see is a lot of commonality here. From IBM, on our IBM Cloud, we have Watson. And unlike the other brands, we kind of put everything under the Watson brand. And that's our AI stuff. And we have conversation, discovery, visual recognition, natural language understanding, speech to text, and so on. And basically, all these services are designed so that you as a developer can take advantage of AI without knowing the complexities of how it was created. You just know you feed it a bunch of data. It gathers insights from that data, gives you actionable feedback that you can do something with. So one of these offerings that IBM has is Watson Discovery. And this does deep data analysis. So it allows you to ingest large amounts of data. So you can have unstructured data, PDFs, documents, websites, news articles, whatever. It'll ingest all of this. And then you can go through a phase called enrichment to give it additional information and store that data, of course, or store that result. Then you can train it so that it understands how to give you responses based on that data. The training phase takes a little bit of extra effort, but people are seeing great results once they've trained AIs. And of course, you can query it. And I'll go through a little bit of a demo on this when we're done here. But I just wanted you to be aware Watson Discovery is one of those AIs that's helping people today. It'll crawl, convert, enrich, normalize your data. It'll let you securely explore your proprietary content. And, let me go on to the next one. Personality Insights. This is built on top of Watson Discovery. So lots of information has gone into it. And what it is, oops, I went too far back, sorry. So personality is part of the enrichment phase. So they've already ingested lots of data into Watson Personality Insights. So it knows a vast amount of information. And lots of research has gone into examining different personality characteristics and using those personality characteristics to enrich the results of analyzing that data. So it basically focused on 3 models. You have the big 5 personality characteristics, needs, and value, where the big 5 represent the most widely used model for generally describing how a person engages with the world. And that includes the 5 primary dimensions of agreeableness, which is a person's tendency to be compassionate and cooperative toward others. Conscientiousness, which is a person's tendency to act in an organized or thoughtful way. Extroversion, which is a person's tendency to seek simulation in the company of others. Your emotional range, which is also referred to as neuroticism or natural reactions, and is the extent to which a person's emotions are sensitive to the person's environment. Openness is the extent to which a person is open to experiencing a variety of activities. And each of these dimensions has 6 facets that further characterize an individual according to the dimension. Then it also uses the needs model to describe which aspects of a person will produce or resonate with which aspects of a product will resonate with a person. And the model that Watson uses includes 12 characteristic needs, which I won't delve into, but you'll see in the demo. And it also focuses on values, which describes motivating factors that influence a person's decision making. And the model includes 5 values. So just looking at the time, I could go into the science behind the service, but I think I'll stop there at a high level and get into the demo so that we can actually see this stuff in action. So the 2 things I'm going to cover, I'm going to talk about Watson Discovery and give you a demo of that, and a demo on the personality insights. So, with Watson Discovery, what we have here is a bit of a demo, and you guys can see this on the website. It's in my slide deck. You can go to the links and try it out. But say you're interested in the company. Say I want to know more about IBM. Everything that happened with IBM in the last 2 months. It's going to go out. It's going to find insights on that. And it's going to give me a bit of a report. So it's telling me the top stories, which you can get from any Google search today. The top entities, so it's going to extract frequently mentioned entities, so IBM, computer, graphic design, capitalism, Linux, all things that have come up in relationship to IBM in the last 2 months. Then going further, the sentiment analysis. We can see of all the information that's gone through, overall, people view IBM 77% positively. And these are just a few of the sites and how they view them. And then anomaly detection is if there are any outliers or things that stand out in this data set. So if you look at the data set, you might say, oh, this thing stands out. Why? Something to dig deeper about. And then, of course, co-mention. So quite often, IBM is mentioned with Microsoft, and people view that positively. And you can see this little chart so you can see when things happen over time. But also IBM mentioned with IBM International Business Machines, which is the same thing, of course. But then IBM and Apple. So it kind of gives you insight into your data. As you can see, I didn't have to add anything. This is just a demo, but this is what Discovery can do for you. And there's a programmatic interface. So as a developer, you can write code to interact with this. So you don't have to go load and put all this data together. And just to give you a different example, let's look at our CEO. Hopefully I can spell her name right. And what people have said about her in the last 2 months. Now, I know this is supposed to search companies, but it'll do people as well. And you can see these are comments or articles that have been about Ginny Rometty in the last 2 months. Some top entries, so like Switzerland, she spoke at the World Economic Forum in Davos. So things that have been in the news recently. Now, unfortunately, she's not viewed quite as positively as IBM is. And that's probably because of all the stockholder information about IBM not being as profitable as they would like us to be. But that's been changing lately. And you can see, like Morningstar is much more positive now. But anomaly detection now finds that some things stand out. So, for example, the U.S. defending trade barriers as Davos braces for Trump. There's 358 articles about that. So somehow she was associated with those articles a lot more than she was associated with everything else, because everything else lies around the 20 to 90 mark. So it can help you find insights into your data and say, okay, what do I need to look at? Think about that in terms of financial information. You're looking at a company's history and you see anomalies there. It might be cause for concern and why you might need to maybe trade that stock if you're an investor. Okay. So then the other one I wanted to show you guys was personality insights. So remember I told you this builds on top of discovery. So the discovery work's been done and it enriches the data. So I can add my own text to get insight about someone's personality. And what I chose to do is go find an article written by somebody or an essay by somebody. And I chose Robert Ebert. If you guys remember, he's a famous film critic. Used to work for the Chicago Tribune, I believe. Passed away a few years ago. But a very well-known public person. If we go analyze an essay he wrote called Go Gentle Into That Good Night, Watson goes, it did a decent analysis. It had 1,996 words to go through. And what it says about that is that Roger Ebert is likely to like musical movies, have experience playing music, has read autobiographical books. And if any of you have ever seen the biography of Roger Ebert that was done a few years ago, all of this is true. Says he's unlikely to like country music, and I don't know if that's true if he doesn't like country music or not. I do recall he liked rap music, which was surprising. It also says he's unlikely to be influenced by social media during product purchases and unlikely to be influenced by brand name. But some other things that should stand out, that he was open, and he was a movie critic, so he was very open about giving his opinion. He also, according to this, he wasn't the most agreeable person, and I'm likely to say a critic might not be the most agreeable person. I don't know. But the idea is this gives you insight about a person's personality based on information that they've done or written. So he wrote this. These are his words. So it gives you a little bit of idea about the person. Where this can be an advantage, the hiring process. You want to try and get an idea about a person's personality during an interview, but if you have their resume, you can pump their resume into here and gather some insight from that. Or you can have them answer a few questions, answer a survey or whatever. Take those responses, put them in here. Different ways to get additional insight during the hiring process. So, I mean, just an example of what can be done today with artificial intelligence. So, let's get back to the presentation, because I want to have time for people to ask questions, hopefully. Will AI replace developers? Well, a lot's been going on in that area, and Microsoft has an AI that's learning to write code by itself. Google's AI supposedly can create better machine learning code than the researchers who made it. And we see this every day. AIs that can enhance themselves. So as developers, should we be worried? Possibly, possibly not. But the world's changing and machines are starting to enhance themselves. So at some point, we're going to have to learn how to either work with those machines to help them enhance things further, be able to write the better starter points for these machines, or figure out what's going on. Because there's actually code out there today that any developer can go download on GitHub and actually basically run a program that will write more programs. And we can see how it's done. We can enhance it. So AI replacing developers, not today, but one day, maybe. I mean, as computers can program and they understand programming, they're likely to be able to do it better than people can eventually. As with anything else, you put enough knowledge behind it, you get improvement. So I know I went through a lot of things there really fast. And this is just a little slide to be a little funny, because if AI is writing programs for itself, that's kind of how Terminator started. So I'm going to end my presentation there and see what questions there are. Looks like the chat's been pretty busy. And if my mouse would respond.
Well, Niall, there have mostly been golly cool comments in the chat, but not any direct questions. I'll throw one out to you. What do you think are the, if you have a developer as a complete novice to AI and to incorporating these cognitive tools into programs, how would you recommend they get started?
Well, of course, I'm biased with IBM. I would say go to Watson. I mean, go to ibm.com/Watson. So let me just go there for you right now.
Some of the developer works tutorials and the things that are available through the, say, Garage Method Architecture Center.
Actually, I would really start with Watson, because they give you good demos. And if you go into the products and services, you pick any product such as visual recognition, they give you a demo to start with, so you can try things out, and then they show you how you can train it. They've made a nice interface for you to understand. Then they give you an API reference and documentation right there to get you started, and explore to walk through how it works. And they give you sample code. So a novice, it's designed perfectly for a novice.
Great. There is a question here in the chat about the language focus on IBM Watson and the number of languages that are going to be there for each of the services, because some services have, of course, more language coverage than others. Can you speak to that, Niall?
Honestly, I cannot. I know we do have multiple languages on the speech recognition.
Yes.
And that's growing, but unfortunately, I'm not associated with that group, so I don't know their direction.
My advice is, if you go into, as Niall's showing, if you go into the demonstrations and then you set up a free account, it will list out the languages that are included.
So right here.
Yeah, and there's the answer in the chat.
Yeah, so there's several languages, and it's going to continue to grow and be enhanced, and you can start to integrate these into other Watson services, and you'll see that start to happen more and more as well. So I don't know if there are any more questions. I do know we're at the top of the hour, and I want to be cognizant of people's time.
I think we can leave the chat open, right, Susan, for a few more minutes. If there are any questions, we can monitor that. All right, thank you, everyone. Please leave any questions you may have in the chat. We'll leave it open for a few more minutes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.